All right. Financial reporting, FR basically was, it was called F7, right? What we need to understand in order to successfully attempt this paper is that you probably have given tags or, you know, other papers in the past. FR is an extension to financial accounting, FA, right? But then you don't have basic bank reconciliation and control account reconciliation and suspense accounts and adjustments to trial balance and all these things, right? You do have adjustments to trial balance, but that's with a different nature. Okay, so what we need to for those, obviously it's for those who are giving it for the first time, you need to understand that more or less it's like FA, but the examining style and the structure of the exam and syllabus obviously is a bit different, right? But it's an advanced paper of financial accounting. So the good part about this is that you probably are carrying forward some information, some knowledge, either from FA or from your university, or from wherever you got the exemptions, right? Now, this paper obviously is compulsory. You have to give it. There's no other option, right? And the information that you gain in FR can and is basically comes to use in AA, which is audit assurance. SBR obviously is the direct advance of FR, and in AAA as well. AAA is advanced audit assurance. Obviously, it's a professional level paper, but it's an optional professional level paper, right? It's your choice. And further, you can carry forward this knowledge to ICAEW, let's say, if you want to do it. Remember one thing, that fundamental papers, be it knowledge or skills, as a whole, fundamental papers is where you set your, base right. If your basis at fundamental level is not right, it's not headed in the right direction, then you will guaranteed you will face difficulties at professional level. Okay, so whatever, the best mind is a questioning mind. This is what I tell my students. The best mind is a questioning mind from a student's perspective. All right, an inquisitive mind. Okay, why? Because there are a lot of students I've literally seen over the past 7 years now that they do have questions, they do have queries, they do have concerns, but they will never talk about it. There was a student I discussed with him. I knew that he was having some problems because he never used to answer when we were doing the kit and all. So I asked him what's really going on, right? He said, the reason why I don't ask you questions is because I do have questions. I have a lot of questions, but I don't ask you those questions. I try to resolve them on my own, because you might feel that I'm not as smart as I should be to attempt ACCA. So that made me, that put me in actually in a weird kind of thought as to what students think about me as a trainer, as a lecturer, right? I don't form any kind of opinion about students, any such opinion, all right? Because, whether you're fit for ACC or not, whether you're fit to give FR or not, that's entirely up to you. Yes, I would really appreciate, and in fact, I would encourage you to come to me for guidance, all right? But don't burden yourself with, with thinking what I might think about you, okay? Let it be. I don't form any, I don't form such thoughts about any of the students. In fact, this class has one of my old students as well, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? For the structure of the exam and for the syllabus content, right? Like I told you, it's an extension, and in fact, it's an advanced paper of FA, right? This is a table that I usually use and I give my students to make you understand what topics we will be catering in FR and the level of importance or the role it plays in the syllabus. right? I've categorized it into three categories, A, B, C. A is where complete working theoretical application knowledge is required for a particular subject, for a particular topic, sorry. B, where you just need working knowledge. That means you need to know when to add, minus, multiply, divide, what type of double entries you need to pass and all these. And C is where you just need basic knowledge in order to cater the topic. Now, if you see the list, there's no C in it. Okay. And why is there no C? It's not because it's based on my opinion, it's based on what the examiner has tested in the past. There's no C because the paper in section A and section B, you will get MCQs. Yes, it will be based on small cases in section A and larger cases in section B, OTQs and OCQs. But the thing is that overall, you will get MCQs. 60 marks MCQs, that's 60% of the paper. And if you think you're letting 2 marks go just because you have category C knowledge, no, we cannot afford that. All right. So these are the topics. Obviously, I'm not going to get into the details of these topics. Yes, there are certain topics that you have studied in the past. For example, in FA, you study conceptual framework, you study IS1, you study IS2, you study IS7, you study IS16, you study where's IS38, you study that, right? You study provisions, contingent assets, and contingent liabilities at FA level, right? You study consolidation at FA level, right? So you study a bit of IFRS 15, which is revenue, just a small chunk. You study IS 10, events after the reporting period as well, right? So there are certain topics that you do study at FA level, but they're not tested to the level of detail that you have in FR. Okay, so obviously we'll be looking at we'll be looking at the complete detail of the standards, and the strategy to study this or to prepare for an exam is to do one topic, do the corresponding kit questions for that, next topic, do the kit, third topic, do the kit, and then so on and so forth, right? The structure of the exam, for those who haven't given it in the past, you've got 3 sections, right? Section A, you've got 15 objective test questions, OTQs, objective test questions, each worth 2 marks. So that makes it 30 marks, right? Section B, you've got 3 OCQs, objective case questions. That means you've got, a case. You've got a case, a larger case. Each case will have 5 MCQs, and each MCQ will be worth 2 marks. So that's 10, and you've got 3 such cases. So multiplied by 3, and you get 30 marks of section B, right? And section C, you've got 2 CRQs, responsive questions, where those will be longer questions. You can get either preparation of single entity FS, in which you can get SOCI, SOFP, you can get SOCI, right? You can get an extract of cash flow to make, right? You can get consolidation, or you can get ratio analysis question. Ratio analysis is basically interpretation of financial analysis, right? Now, if you see all of this, the entire exam is CBE, all right? So there's a small mistake where it's not on demand. It's actually the CBE on 4 attempts that you've got: March, June, September, December, right? The best thing about CBE is that the examiner expects you to know what? Word and Excel. And this is what we'll be using in our course preparation as well. I don't encourage pens. I don't encourage paper, be it registers or notebooks or whatever it is. I don't encourage that. I don't even encourage calculators. All right. What I encourage is having a laptop in front of you while you're taking a class, and when it's the practice session we're on, I expect you to open up your Excel sheets, especially. All right, Excel sheets. Because typing on Word, you just have to type. On Excel, it's much harder to work. All right. So that is what I expect you to do. No pens, no calculators, no pencils, no papers, registers, notebooks, whatever it is. That's all obsolete now. All right. Papers for 100 marks. This entire structure will be tested within 100 for 100 marks within 180 minutes. So you've got approximately 1.8 minutes to obtain 1 mark. There's one thing I tell my students is that when you're looking at such a structure, see the marks, the amount of marks you get and the amount of time you have, these two variables are inversely proportional. What does it mean, inversely proportional? It means if one increases, the other decreases. When you start the paper, you've got 180 minutes, but 0 marks. Why? Because you haven't even started the paper yet. How do you expect to get the marks? You haven't even started reading the paper yet. All right. So you've got full time available, but 0 marks. And there comes a time you've got 0 minutes available. Now that depends on you what you want over here. It could be a 30, it could be a 20, it could be a 50, it could be a 70, it could be a 95, 98, 100, whatever you want. That's entirely up to you. All right. So the thing is, what we are struggling for, what we are working for is actually this, to fill in this blank with something more than 50, right? That's a basic thing that we all know. We're working for anything above 50, right? Now, in this situation, we need to understand how we'll work through it, what resources we'll have access to, right? So the resources that you'll have access to is basically the lectures. You'll have access to 2 live classes plus 1 recorded. Later on, these live classes will increase to 3 live classes, all right? Or depending on the student's preference, there's no burden on you. Depending on whoever's registered, depending on their preference, I might just increase 1 recorded class. So 2 live and 2 recorded. Again, like I said, depending on you guys. You'll have access to my Excel based notes in which you'll have the entire standard written out. Okay, the entire standard along with workings of case examples will be done. So you'll have both theoretical as well as application based knowledge available on an Excel workbook, okay, which will be uploaded to the Google Classroom where the recorded lectures are uploaded. All right. You will definitely get access to all the lectures in the form of recordings, be it live or the recorded sessions. The thing is that the access will be obviously non-downloadable, but you will get access to all the lectures, like the lectures you've taken in a live session and the lectures that I've asked you to watch it on a recorded basis, right? Book reading is, the book that we'll be using is Kaplan. The kit that we'll be using is Kaplan. Book reading, I get questions that whether book reading is, do you recommend book reading? Yes, I do. For any paper and for every paper I teach, be it at the ICW advanced level even, I recommend book reading. All right. It's not because we're not covering everything. We're 100% covering everything. But the reason why I recommend book reading is because it opens up your mind to a further extent. See, when I'm explaining you something, I'll be giving you examples different from what's in the book. The more examples you have access to, the more examples you read and you understand, the more open your mind would be when you go in the exam, and the better you would be able to cater the exam question. All right. Just going out and memorizing the exam kit, that's not recommended at all. because it has questions that have already been tested in the past. You don't expect to test, you don't expect the examiner to test them again. All right. Yes, the content, the nature of the content will be the same. The testing methodology would be the same, but the question will be different. All right. The syllabus outline will be the same, but the question will be different. All right. So we need to be adaptable. We need to adapt. We need to be able to adapt different situations rather than just adopt what's already happened. Okay. For technical articles at FR level, I use two resources. I use ACCA Global and I use cpdbox.com. All right. So these are two resources I use for technical articles. My students do not go in an exam without reading out the technical articles. All right. That's a benchmark I've set for all my students. If you are going without reading the technical articles that I've recommended you to read, you're literally defying a direct order. Okay. And that only has repercussions. That's all. You won't benefit out of it. It only has repercussions. Okay. So you will definitely end up facing some kind of consequences just because you didn't read those technical articles. And I'm very much confident about it is because those articles, the resources that I'm using for the articles, they're beautifully written articles. For ACCA Global, the best part about it is that the articles are written by the examining team. So what better to read than what's written by the examining team itself? You get to know the tone of the examining team. You get to know you get to know what the examining team is expecting from you as a student when you write your answer. Okay, when you form an answer. All right. So you get, there are somewhere in the articles, there are some tips and tricks as well to solve a particular kind of question, right? Yes, there's no doubt we'll be covering our own tips and tricks in the session. But like I said, the more knowledgeable you are before attending the exam, the more confident you will be. Plus, the probability of you passing the exam with good marks increases. It's all about probabilities, right? This is what our approach will be. Like I said, topic by topic, and we'll practice the exam. At the end, I usually do revision of all important topics. The benchmark that I set is, the importance of the topics. I'll tell you how I determine the importance of the topics. It's not the same as A, B, C that I showed to you, the table. No, it's not the same as that, because it's the end of the course. So the importance of I rank the importance of topics, depending on what questions I'm getting the most. If I'm getting the most amount of questions from, let's say, IS 36 impairment of non-current assets, right? So I'll definitely focus on impairment rather than any other standard. Okay, so it depends, because by the time you end the course, you guys have the knowledge. So you come up with questions that are relevant to you and that you are facing a problem with. So I rank the importance of the topics in that manner. Yes, if there is a topic, let's say I have a question regarding IS 23, and there's just one or two students who've asked very specific cases of IS 23, then what I'll do is I'll basically answer your question on WhatsApp only. I'll solve it on WhatsApp and I'll tell you what the answer should be or how to solve it in the future. I won't bring it to the class. All right. So, and plus, you guys will definitely get access to my WhatsApp number as well. So technically, you have me available to yourself 24/7, right? You can text me whatever guidance you need regarding planning the paper or studying, or making up a timetable to study if you're working, for example, right? So you can easily ask me whatever questions you want. Okay. Any questions from your side? Guys, do you have any questions for me? We will be starting the course, by the way, on 20th. 20th will be our first class. Okay. So I'll obviously you'll be notified about the timing as well, the timing of the class. But our first class will be on the 20th. All right, 20th of September. Anything else? And by the way, there's one question that a lot of students ask me is that will you be revising the the prior concepts of FA, financial accounting, so relevant to the topics that are being tested in FR? Yes, I do everything from scratch, even at SBR level. In fact, even at ICW advanced corporate level, corporate reporting level, I do everything from scratch. It's because I don't feel comfortable when a student comes up to me and he's some study. Yes, for those who've already studied FA with me, I'm fine with that. But it's just, you can call it a phobia or whatever, but that's how I am, right? It bothers me when I know that FA was, you were taught FA by someone else and not by me, and then you're bringing those concepts over here. Yes, it's good if you're bringing the right concepts, but my past experience tells me that students usually bring in the right knowledge, but not the right concepts. There's a difference. You have the knowledge, you don't have the concepts, you'll have to struggle very hard at the professional level. So obviously I don't want that from my students, right? So if there's no questions, guys, this is about it. In fact, this is what I had to discuss in the demo session. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the first class. Okay.